Greetings, and welcome to Spin a Yarn Live, the Tea Time Book Club and Crafting Circle. And I'm getting so much better at spelling that out.
Which is great. Quick note, don't get used to this. We're going to an event tonight after the episode, and so I was trying to help things along by going ahead and putting my makeup on. So this is... No. See this again. No.
So, yes, today we're talking about the 5th book of Dresden Files.
We are.
Series. And so go ahead and post in Twitter using the hashtag YarnItAll. I don't even know if you can see that on the stream. I don't have a big enough thing. Oh, well.
It's pretty fine.
I know. I should have made it, like, bold or something thicker.
He was making it as a bookmark that he actually intended to use.
No.
And he was like, ooh, you know what? This is just so cool.
Yeah, that's very eligible.
I'm going to just leave it like this instead of use it as a bookmark.
No, pretty much since I had it kind of drawn out, I kind of had the idea of leaving it like that. Because it shows off the crafty portion.
Does.
Like, hey, this is a...
It does.
Frame. Anyways, so yes, you can go there. You can also go into Reddit, r/Spin a Yarn Live into our Dresden Files Episode 5 discussion thread. And post... And in either of those places, post what you will be working on today. And what are we working on?
So today, I am working on a hat. It is the Celtic Cables Slouchy Hat, which you can find on Ravelry.com. It is a free website that you can sign up for, and like you can either choose to or to not receive any of their, newsletter threads or whatever. But it's just a great place that you can kind of keep a little library of patterns. And like I said, this is one of the free patterns that they have. So I am working on this. This is actually my second go through with this hat. The first one I made and I followed the pattern to a T, but it was still too small for Paul. Like, we're going skiing, and so he needs something that's going to cover his ears, and it didn't go all the way down to cover his ears. So I'm doing it longer. So like this part is supposed to only start out as 2 inches, and I've got it at 3. And then I'm going to bind it off differently than it said to do it in the pattern. But yeah, that's what I'm working on.
I am still working on this monstrosity from a website that I cannot translate yet, so yeah, that's fun. Surely I can make the pattern.
Well, it's just a visual grid that you're following just like me. I'm just following a grid.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you should be able to make it, and it'll look just peachy keen.
But yeah, so this is the same thing I've been working on for a while. We're in season 2.
Season 2.
So it's moving right along.
Mm-hmm.
And,
So today's tea is, Lady Grey from the Twining series. So it's got more floral notes than Earl Grey does, and it's a lighter tea all the way around, in my opinion. Earl Grey is a little bit more... It's a bolder tea. It's got a bolder flavor. This is a little bit lighter. Like I said, a bit more floral notes, more orange than lemon. So yeah, that's the tea we're drinking today. So, death masks. Oh boy, a lot of stuff happens in this book that you've got to just keep in the back of your mind. Like, a lot of things happen. Especially at the end, we end with Harry, stopping little Harry Carpenter from grabbing the coin. The denarii coin, and he takes it home, and there's the voice like whispering in his head, and then he puts it down in within his circle, and then he puts another circle around it, so to just be like no. So there's that. We get there are more Knights of the Cross. There are in fact 3 Knights of the Cross, which kind of makes sense. So we've got that bit, because the idea is that each of their swords was forged with one of the nails. So there's the 3 nails. There's the nail for each hand, and then the nail for the feet. But of course, we don't get to keep the knights. Hi, Katie. You know, poor
Hi.
Shiro is killed off in this. He's, of course, the eldest of the knights, so it's not, you know, it's kind of like, ugh. But, you know, it's just, it's just bloody.
And then, like...
and in a, not a church, but like a chapel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
An airport chapel.
Yes, it's just like, ugh. And then we get Susan back.
We do get Susan back.
We get Susan back, and we get what, like, I like the scenes with Harry and Susan. I think they're quite nice. But so we get her, and then we get, you know, the idea that there are, of course, other people who are in her situation. You know, they've been turned, but not all the way. They haven't killed anyone yet or taken anyone's blood. So they have these tattoos that let them see, you know, if they're getting close to, like, breaking point or whatever. So it serves as an early warning system, which I thought was kind of cool. I was like, oh, early warning system.
Yeah.
So we get a lot. And especially with Ortega, because we get the duel with Ortega, and Harry luckily wins.
Wow.
You know.
Harry survives.
Harry survives it, and we're introduced to that. Was it like a stone or a crystal or just like an entity? The death stone or whatever it is, and you know they're pushing and pulling. And the representative for the White Court again. We have Thomas.
Yay.
Thomas shows up again. How interesting! I wonder why he's here.
He shows up pretending to be completely drunk and completely unhelpful to Ortega.
Yeah.
But it's clear that he's got some ulterior motive. Mm-hmm. We also meet Ivy and Kincaid.
Oh! Ivy and Kincaid. I like Kincaid. He is a cool character. And I like Ivy. She's, you know, she's kind of a cool... It's an interesting concept, you know, the idea that... It's kind of like... I'm a giant nerd, right? So, I've been watching...
Really?
Yeah, I know. Right? You're shocked. You're shocked, I know.
I don't know if we can continue this.
Well, that's just too bad. You put a ring on it, so... rather I put a ring on it. So anyway, the idea that with every, you know, generation, because she said is passed down from mother to daughter.
Yeah.
So I found it really interesting, that idea. Like, that's her sole purpose, is to read and to learn and to retain data and then to pass it on to the next. Because she is human.
Yeah.
She's 7 years old. She gets excited when she sees Mister. She's like, Kitty! You know, and Kincaid walks in. That is just weird.
Is she 7?
Yeah. Did they say 7 or did they say 9?
Oh, I don't remember.
I can't remember now either. But I think 7. I think she's supposed to be 7. I don't think I wrote it down.
No. But...
Oh yes, and then so we're trying to figure out, you know, who took the shroud, blah 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 blah. We figure out who took the shroud, and we figure out why.
Yes.
Yes, we get to see Marcone wanted to take it, and he wants it.
Oh yes.
Because he wants to try and heal this. Was she a little girl or was she like an older girl? I can't remember. This girl who ended up getting shot during a shootout that was either his fault or caused by his men.
Well, we don't know that yet.
Oop. Sorry.
But it's a girl that he's taking care of. She's in a coma.
Yes.
And he tries to put the shroud on her.
To heal her.
Mm-hmm. And at this point we have... Oh, I'm looking at the excerpts from somebody else's book. Okay.
But we don't know if it heals her, right?
Excerpts from a book by Shannon Butcher. Oh.
Who's that? His sister?
Wife, I think.
I had no idea Jim Butcher was married.
I don't know. We'll have to... Anyways, but yeah, so Dresden had followed Marcone despite Marcone trying very, very hard to lose Tails, and almost did. And this is all like the last chapter of the book. And Dresden watches Marcone basically read to this girl who's in a coma for about an hour. And then, as Marcone leaves, Dresden goes to sit on the hood of his car and freaks Marcone out, of course.
Well, yes, because it's funny.
Saying he has to take the shroud back, and, you know, they have words, and eventually Harry understands enough. He doesn't know exactly what's going on, but understands that this girl is what gives Marcone the will he has to basically run an entire underground to try and clean up the streets so it's not chaos.
Yeah.
It's organized.
Which is exactly
better
what the...
or worse.
Yeah,
but,
I mean, it's a toss-up because that's exactly what traditional mobsters did back in a time when Chicago really didn't have a police force to enforce all of the mass crime. So it kind of came down to the biggest, baddest crime lords to give a sort of order, which is why you see a lot of mobsters being portrayed as gentlemen, as people who they don't want to resort to violence. They'd much rather settle this with money or favors exchanged or what have
unless
you.
it's the goons of the mobsters.
Unless it's the goons. The goons are, of course, the ones who are there, to just...
to do the enforcement.
To do the enforcement. But the gentlemen would rather not. You know. Okay, hold in front. I'm trying to make sure I get this this cable right.
Yeah. But of course, Dresden then says that Marcone has 3 days because that's how long the shroud was on Jesus. Mm-hmm. And if nothing happens by then, nothing's going to happen.
To the girl, yeah.
So, again, we see Dresden willing to basically lend the shroud to Marcone for 3 days.
Yeah,
which was interesting.
Yeah, but it's for, like, you know, a pretty good cause. He wants to heal this girl. So we get so much stuff happening in this book. Now, of course, you and I know that about which items are significant and which items are not. But what was your favorite part of the book? What was your favorite scene? We had a lot of different, like,
oh boy,
a lot
favorite
happens
scene
in this book.
I mean, while I do like the duel of them pushing the energy back and forth between each other in the aftermath and Thomas, I think my favorite scene is when we first get introduced to Butters.
Butters! We get Butters! I forgot. Oh my god. I keep
call him that
forgetting
because he Butters. No.
Well, no, his name is Butters.
So he's a mortician.
Yes.
Mortician? Is that the right
yes.
word for that profession?
He is a mortician.
Yeah.
Specifically, he's a mortuary's assistant because he started noticing all the weird stuff, like when all of the bodies were brought to him after the incident at Bianca's Manor. He noticed, he was like, well, okay, these guys were all human, but these guys are humanoid. Just looking at their anatomy, looking at their skulls, you know.
Yeah, and definitely not human.
Yeah, he was like, they're not human, but they're humanoid. And he was forced to go under some psychiatric care for a little while, and he got demoted at the end of it. Like, there was talk of firing him, but because he's so good at what he does, they couldn't really afford to lose him. So they were like, fine, you're no longer like the chief mortician, you're now the assistant.
But he loves the polka music.
He loves the polka music.
Which, of course, the only polka music I know is any of the Weird Al songs.
Which is polka.
It's polka.
It's polka. It's just, it's cool polka. I really like Butters. Butters is...
He's fun.
Pretty awesome sauce.
I think, not to give too many spoilers away, but I think he has the most character development in this series.
Most character development.
I mean, we can talk more when we get to future books.
Deadbeat. Sorry. Butters is a deadbeat, and he's more of a presence in it. Yeah, Deadbeat's not after this one.
No. Next is Blood Rights.
All of these books blend together.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to remember what happens in Blood Rights. It sounds like something. Oh, that one. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha. Not the one I was thinking. Good.
That's going to be interesting.
Because I think the one I'm thinking of is Changes. Yes. Yes. Changes. Because the one after that is Ghost Story. So, gotcha. All right. So, yes. So, I really like all the scenes with the Denari when they're in... Sorry. There are straws on the floor in the kitchen, and our cat loves to chase straws.
Yes.
So, Osiris is just having some fun up there, but it distracted me for a moment.
the Denarians.
So I like the scenes with the Denarians, and I really actually liked when we met the first one in the alleyway. And I thought it was kind of cool how the knights were like hidden and whatnot. Like one pretending to be a homeless person, and the other one's just like out on the walk or something. So I like that. But I also liked him doing the soul gaze, showing the individual who has been ensnared by the demon for like 1,000 years, just completely mad. Under the influence of the demon. I was like, that is pretty powerful. And then at the end of the book, Harry grabs one. And it's like, oh.
And we learned that they're all, they're insidious in getting you to agree to more and more power and whatnot.
Right.
And one of the things that you notice during that scene is Harry drives home with the coin and then buries it in cement and encircles it many times and whatnot.
Yeah, and it says as soon as he does that and covers it up, the voice stops.
But what he doesn't do is give it to Michael.
Oh, that's true. He could have given it to Michael.
Yeah, the people who are responsible for...
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun.
Which is just one of those things you don't really think about. It's like, okay, we need to get this secured and protected, and...
But he's standing right next to the one dude who could secure and protect it better than anybody else.
We learn a little bit in this book, just a smidge, but it comes out in other books as well, that the coins are kind of always in circulation. It's like, they can be contained for a while, but just by the nature of things, they will get out again.
Yeah.
Just the nature of the battle versus good versus evil.
Mm-hmm. There can never be a clear victor. It's an ongoing fight all the time.
So it wasn't mentioned in this scene that's why Dresden does it. I almost wonder if he mentions that in the beginning of the next book. If he mentions why he didn't do that. I don't know. We'll have to wait till next episode. But yeah, that was one thing that I kept seeing. It's like, Michael's right there. He has the cloth with the embroidered crosses on it. Mm-hmm. Don't worry, I'm not going to embroider crosses. I am all in for being tempted by coins. No. But
hitting you.
Yes.
Yes, that is interesting. I never really thought about that before. Because he the guy drives past and throws the coin out, and the little baby goes to grab it. So the first instinct is, well, we don't want the kid to grab it. So, Harry grabs it instead of Harry grabbing it. It's all very confusing.
Yes.
And then he just decides to pocket it. And that is a good point. I never really thought about... his computer does a facial recognition, so he's trying to make it recognize him. You're not close enough, I don't think.
I know.
But yeah, it's pretty intense. And then, like I said, we have a bunch of scenes with Susan. We have a little love scene, which I like it. I mean, whatever. But unfortunately, we won't see Susan again for a while. And I want to say things, but I won't.
Don't say things.
Cyrus.
What?
Don't say things.
Don't say things, Cyrus. Don't spoil.
Hey, kitty. Hi. Let's see if he'll jump up.
Let's see.
Hi, precious.
So I did like the big bad, Nicodemus.
Yes, we get Nicodemus.
He's one of those characters that you hate.
You love to hate him.
But he's enjoyable to hate.
Yeah. It's not like he's a... so we get the introduction of the Fallen in this book, which is essentially what the Denari are.
Yeah.
And it's very interesting, this mythos. Oop.
Yep.
I missed a cable. Keep going. But it's so there are 30 of them all told that are just out and about in the world, and it's just like, oh my gosh, this is crazy.
Yeah, what is it? The 30 coins paid for Judas to, like, turn on Jesus or something like that.
I don't remember.
There was some payment to get rid of Jesus, or... Yeah, because the noose was the choice of who dies. But the nooses one, when I first read it, I did not see that coming. Talking about the noose around Nicodemus's neck, and then Dresden figures out that it probably doesn't protect him from itself, which makes sense.
There you go.
And he's not able to kill Nicodemus, but he puts the fear of knowledge, fear of Dresden in
I know,
Nicodemus.
I know your weakness.
Yeah. So that's cool.
A few notes. There was something that I noticed. So, again, I usually read the digital version on my Nook, right? And there's just this really random thing where at the very beginning, you know, Dresden is
On the Larry Fowler show.
Guest starring on the Larry Fowler show. Yes, Larry. It is Larry. But in the E version, and it only happens once. It like shortly after Ortega comes out, and you know Harry starts getting nervous, so his like suspension spell starts to break a little bit, and the lights start going kooky, and the cameras and whatnot. It just changes all of a sudden to like, oh, well, you know, Larry was all upset about the lighting, and then Jerry turned around, and you're like, wait. And I was like, I'm so confused. And then I realized it was just a typo.
Yeah.
But it's kind of a big one. Like, it's not one letter was off. It was 2 letters were off. It went from Larry to Jerry. And I'm like, why would you do this?
Well, because I think Dresden was very clearly basing this show host on real world show hosts.
But there is a Larry. Or there was. But it wasn't like... But then why would it jump to a Jerry? Because it's not like a Jerry Springer.
Yeah. But he's probably thinking of one and having, like, done halvesies with the name sort of thing. I don't know.
No, there was a Larry somebody. I used to watch it because I'm weird like that. But no, just in the E version, it jumped. But, so, a couple of notes about why, you know, sometimes I get super annoyed with Dresden in general, is that even though he knows he should sleep, he doesn't. And I got a little annoyed, like in the first half of the book, when he's just like, oh, I know a good night's sleep would do me good, but there's just no time. I'm like, bullshit! You say yourself, if you don't get me sleep, you're going to fuck something up. Sorry, I know I'm not being very PG with my language. So why don't you just go to sleep and just get a little of your energy back? Ooh, that's another thing we learn about, is that Marcone has wards set up around his place because he sends Bob out to do some investigating, and he comes back, you know, kind of wrecked. Dripping ectoplasmic purple blood or whatever it is.
Yeah, and we also meet one of Marcone's new people, Miss Guard.
Oh!
And Harry thinks that she's the one who's doing the magic.
Maybe, because was it this book or was it one of the other books where he finds out?
No, I don't think it's this book.
It's not this book? Okay. She is a magical entity. But we just don't know what yet. I mean, I know what. That's later. Yeah. That's later when we're introduced.
But it's clear that she's not a wizard on the Wizard Council.
Correct. She is
that
not.
That much we know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there's that. Yes, there's just a lot of new things coming into the series, which is great because now we have a large set of things happening instead of just being, oh, Harry needs to go deal with this. Oh, Harry needs to go deal with that. Now it's like, oh, there's stuff happening in the world and Harry needs to be part of it.
Right. So now it's sort of like the series has begun.
Yeah.
So, you know, in the last book, we got him being the emissary of winter, and we got a deeper look into all the Fae stuff and whatnot. And in this one, we get a look at kind of, you know, angels and demons. We get a more intricate we get to look more at the Knights of the Cross, and then we get to learn more about the Fallen, whom they're constantly in battle with. And I really like Sanya. Is that how you would say his name? The Russian.
Yeah, I don't know how to put a Russian accent on that.
Yeah, I guess Sanya, is his name. But what's interesting is that Sanya was an atheist, and yet he was still chosen to be a Knight of the Cross. Yeah. And, Harry brings it up. He's like, that's kind of weird. And Sanya's like, well, people should be protected. That's just right. It doesn't really have anything to do with faith. It's just he's a good person. Yeah. Which comes into, because now we've got the, it's not a katana because it's not curved. So it's got a different name. I don't know what it is. But Shiro's sword, it now doesn't have an owner. So Harry is charged with keeping it until a new knight comes along. Now, the unfortunate thing is that he keeps it for a while. I mean, it's not unfortunate. It's just, we know who's going to be the next knight. And it's so wonderful the way it happens. But it makes for
no spoilers.
Right. But it's interesting to note that you don't have to be a Christian or even a Catholic or rather, reverse that. You don't have to be Catholic or even a Christian to become a knight. You could just be a good person who knows that people need to be protected, and if you need to step up and do the protecting, then you're worthy of being a knight. Yeah. So it's very interesting. Yes. And I don't remember which one it is. I'm also trying to figure out something else because we get a little bit more of Charity Carpenter in this one.
A little bit.
And again, she's very, she doesn't like Harry, and Harry's always like, she's never liked Harry. And there's when when Harry first calls Michael to ask if Michael would be his second for the duel, Molly picks up, the eldest of his children. He's got like 5 or 6 kids. He's got a lot of kids. Yeah. She picks up. He thinks it's Charity because, she's older. She sounds like her mom, blah, blah, blah. And there's a scene, and it's... So she, Molly picks up the phone. She's like, oh, you're looking for Dad. Let me see if I can find him. And Harry hears that the phone falls to the ground for whatever reason. And Charity comes and picks it up because little baby Harry was playing with it. That's why it fell on the ground. And she's just like, hello, is anyone there? And Harry's like, ah. So, he says, please give Michael the message. Molly picks up on the other line and is like, he's not here. He must be with the Knights at the church or something. And, Charity is like, it's a school morning. You shouldn't be dawdling, blah, blah, blah. And Molly says, it's like she's telepathic or something. And Charity turns very stern and says, that is not funny. And the conversation ends. And it's a little thing. But knowing what we know.
Yeah, because it's not like Charity doesn't believe in supernatural things, because
her husband is the Knight of the Cross. There's something going on.
So yeah, there's something going on with that.
So she
That's
just
another little detail. I didn't notice that one.
Yeah. So it's just she knows Harry's a wizard, whatever. She doesn't want Harry to influence her kids in any way. And all this jazz. Oh.
What have you done?
Oh, I got overeager. I missed This is why sometimes it's hard to do 2 things at once.
Yes.
I was supposed to make one. Hang on.
Yeah. This is why we make this channel, so that our viewers can craft and listen, and they don't have to.
I thought we could craft too.
We can attempt to craft.
I mean, attempt to craft. That's fair, because usually I have a notepad out, but I don't. So I'm just trying to frame the pattern that I'm following on the computer. So it's done from the bottom up, right? This is obviously the base of the hat. So as I scroll up, I'm scrolling up like incrementally so I can see which row I'm on. It's what I'm trying to do, which is why I keep leaning over and touching the screen, because it keeps going to sleep. Yeah. But anyway, so we get a wee little introduction to Molly. I think this is the first time we've actually met another one of the kids
Yeah.
from the previous book. Because the first time we really meet Michael's family is when Charity is actually pregnant with little Harry. And it's not some time paradox thing. They name the kid after Harry because Harry saves the child in Charity's life. So it's not weird.
Yeah, because that would be super weird.
That would be really weird. And what a twist! And Butcher is not M. Night Shyamalan, so thank God for that.
But we do meet Molly coming home early, and she's all punked out with ripped school uniforms
and piercings and all
and
this
then she
stuff.
rushes to get changed and look normal before her mom comes home.
Yep.
So that's happening.
Yes.
And Harry now knows about that happening.
Right. So he's just like, okay, fine, whatever. So we keep, well, I won't tell you why we keep bringing it up. But anyway, so again, we get introduced to way more people, way more characters, because, there aren't enough characters in this series already to keep straight. So we get a reminder of someone, like we haven't seen Marcone in a couple of episodes. We haven't seen Marcone in a couple of the books. So we get reminded Marcone is still out there doing stuff. We got Sonia. I don't know how to say it. And Michael and his family. And, of course, now Murphy knows what's going on, from the last book. She's actually now aware more of what's happening. Which is great. She still doesn't do much in this particular book. No, but that's okay. Again, as we keep saying, she starts being more important. She does. But she's, definitely still kind of in the background at the moment. Yeah, but that brings me kind of to another point in that, the last few times that we've recorded for Jim Butcher, I made the comment that it's hard to get into the books, even though I've read them and I know what they're like and all that. It was really hard to get into the first 3. I think starting with The Summer Night, either the writing got better or it got better paced. I'm not sure what happened, but I was able to get sucked into the book a little bit more. And then with Death Masks, again, knowing what's going to happen with all these other characters that are introduced or reintroduced, I got way more sucked in. I was like, oh, that's right. This happens and then this happens and we get this new character and Butters and, all this stuff. I feel like we're kind of building up Butters. He's not really, he's not like the big action star that comes in or anything. He's just a fun character to have. He's just kind of a little squirrely nerd guy and he's just fun. It's like Waddles from Gravity Falls. Except Waddles is a pig who doesn't talk. Sometimes. Butters is intelligent. He's a mortician, and of course that makes him a little useful because he obviously will work for the police to do reports and whatnot. Especially for Murphy, he's kind of the go-to if she's looking for information about certain bodies or whatever that was brought into under his particular jurisdiction or to his particular lab. He also sometimes serves as like emergency EMT, even though he's like, usually the people I work on are already dead. Yeah. What makes you think I can do this? So, which leads to hilarious comedic moments in the books to come. So yes, I liked this book better even than. Well, did I like it better than Summer Night? Yeah, I did. Because, we just get so much more stuff and we get a lot of setup. At this point, there has been a lovely amount of setup done that will lead into other things. Now, they may not lead into it necessarily into the very next book, into Blood Rights, but it's stuff that you kind of have to remember down the way. So... remember it. Things are going to get interesting. We're going to go with that term. Yes. Making knots. Don't make knots. But that's what I thought cross stitch was all about. No. Weaving is not making knots. Embroidery is not making knots. Even knitting is not making knots.
Oh man, I saw this picture, so I'm subscribed to r/cross stitching, I think. I'm subscribed to a couple because I'm a nerd. But somebody had a big project they were working on, and they had, so you can see me, I have 5 active strings at the moment. They had something on the order of like 30 to 50 active strings. And I was like, how? But they have needle minders all over the place that they wrap strands around, and I asked them for, tips on how to do what they were doing. And so they kind of described their process and whatnot, which was really cool. But yeah, it's like now I need to collect needle minders because this person had all sorts of
They had the most
nerdy,
adorable needle minders.
It was fantastic.
They had waddles.
They did have waddles.
They had the TARDIS. They had some Alice in Wonderland stuff. They had some Zelda stuff. Like there was a Hylian shield one. It was pretty sweet. It's pretty nerdy. Like when you do knitting is pretty straightforward because you're just working with one strand. But for like if you want to do like nerdy knits, it all comes down to the pattern that you knit. Like I've seen a couple of patterns that have the the Triforce emblem, or even just like the full Zelda emblem with the wings and everything. And that was pretty cool. And I was like, I want this, but it wasn't a free pattern. And I was sad because I don't particularly like paying for my patterns unless I'm getting like a lot. Like I'll say this, on knitpicks.com they were having a sale and I was buying yarn for Paul. Well, I should say I broke one of my knitting needles. Paul was super, super awesome last year and had gotten me a set of Caspian wood knitting needles. Caspian wood means they're dyed various shades of green. And I love me some green. So I was super excited, but I was knitting with my pair of 5-point, and or 5, US size 5. Meaning they were somewhere along, it was like 4 millimeters in diameter or something like that. Fine sticks, essentially. And
we don't use metric around these parts.
I sat down on the couch and I didn't realize that it was like under the pillow or something, and I snapped it. I snapped one of the needles and I was like, oh no. But it was like $5 for a set of 2. So I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to go ahead and buy a replacement. So I was on knitpicks.com and I had that in my cart, and I was like, oh, while I'm here, why don't I check out, what books they have for sale, or what yarn kits they have for sale and whatever. And I came across this book that has all of these different different garments, hats, scarves, sweaters, cardigans, all this stuff, with a variety of cabling techniques. And I was like, oh my god, everything is so pretty. So I got super excited, and the book was on sale, and I was like, mine! So I bought that, I bought some more yarn, and then I was like $5 away from getting free shipping. So I was like, well, I'll buy another thing of yarn.
That's how they get you.
It is how they get me. But the unfortunate thing, like I said, is I bought the yarn for Paul to make the hat, and he wanted a scarf to go with it. But the yarn, it was really weird. Like, the pattern that I'm using specifies the kind of yarn that was used. So not the weight, it just gave the brand. Now, it gave the weight in terms of, like, the actual grams per whatever, but I'm not advanced enough to understand what any of that means. So this was made with, oh no, it doesn't even say. It just says Debbie Bliss Cashmere Merino Aran, yardage 150 to 180 meters, depending on if you're making a large or a small or what have you. So it does say it'll take about 197 yards. We didn't factor that in, because when we bought the
I thought we added that in the length of the scarf together to figure out how many yards.
I don't think we did, because when I saw the hat, I immediately said I've never used a full ball of yarn for a hat.
No. I remember we calculated. We added the 2 yardages together and realized how we needed to get, 5 balls?
And we did. We got 5.
Yeah.
Well, whatever. I guess it lied. I mean, because each of the balls of yarn that we got are only 110 yards.
Yeah.
That's a really small amount of yarn for one ball. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I have never had to attach new yarn to a hat before. It was really, really weird. So, but anyway, so, well, I knitted it and it was too small. Like, it was fine. It fit just fine. It would keep his head warm, but it doesn't fall down over his ears. Like I said, we're going skiing. Now, Paul's never been skiing before, but I have. You want your ears to be well taken care of. Especially if you're somebody like me who's just, like, looks down the sheet of ice on your first black diamond and you're like, ooh, I'm gonna go straight down, and then you do. But it's fine because your brother's next to you and you guys are racing, but he still wins because he's your older brother and the older brother. So anyway, yes, I have skiing experience, but we're going in March. I hope it will be a lot of fun. If nothing else, it'll be fun to just get out somewhere with actual nice fluffy snow. We actually had some nice fluffy snow, but it was only like 2 inches. There's not much you can do about that in Atlanta, except for the fact that because we don't have any salt trucks, you know, everybody is just stranded.
Yeah.
Everywhere. I did it again. Hang
on. Don't do it again.
I keep getting distracted.
Okay. So, yes, I am excited about the next book. It's a little weird. I think I like this book better than the next book, but again, we're picking up with kind of world events.
We are. We're getting into some stuff. I think the next book, we're going to get more of the Black Court. They show up.
Do they?
I mean, mainly we're going to deal with the White Court of vampires. So we're going to get to know Thomas and his family a little bit better, because I think we already know he's the youngest son of the king of the White Court. When in fact, I mean, he's the only son. He only has older sisters. But I think we get to know his sisters and his family a little bit. So we get a little bit more about the White Court and how they work. So that'll be interesting. And I swear I think we get at least a cameo by Black Court. We'll see. But beyond that, I don't know what time mark we're at here. Okay, we're at, we've got like 5 minutes left. So in the 5 minutes, so yes, the next Dresden book, if you're gonna be keeping up with all of Dresden's stuff, we'll be reading the 6th one, Blood Rights.
Ooh.
Paul will get you the cover. There it is. Available at many fine retailers, but mainly Barnes & Noble, because there's just no other bookstores ever anywhere.
Yep. So that'll be our next Dresden book. I need to get all of our episodes into playlists. I think I started, and then I haven't really done anything. I still haven't charged out on Patreon at all yet. I need to get into that habit because that is how we can possibly in the future get money.
I would like to sell things. So if you like the stuff that I'm knitting and would like something, do shoot us a line.
That hat is mine. Oh.
This is not for y'all. This is for him.
But that's a very quick hat to make. So.
It's not too bad. I've certainly experienced faster hats than this one. I mean, I've got a hat that's sort of kind of my own design. I'm actually trying to work on some Sailor Moon themed hats, mainly centered around their princess form. So not like the Sailor Scouts when they're all dressed up ready to fight, but more when they're just in their gowns and their hair is all whatever, they're all sparklies and beautiful and all that jazz. So that's what I'm trying to work on. So maybe at some point I'll feature that. Maybe when we do an anime, like we will next week, or specifically a manga.
Next week we are
getting back to some One Piece.
One Piece,
which is far more exciting.
So.
I heard what you said. He's talking about an abridged series.
Yes. which makes fun of One Piece and is glorious.
It is, except None Piece is better.
It's true.
One Piece of Crap is okay, I
yeah,
guess, but...
no, One Piece of Crap isn't really all that great, if I recall correctly.
It
but
isn't.
None
But
Piece is the best.
None Piece just has some hilarious vocals by, I think, maybe 3 dudes. If that.
Yeah.
Luffy is very, very funny.
Anyways, so this arc, we are getting
Sanji, our chef.
Who you can see there.
Very important. Luffy said we gotta have a chef.
Takes place at the end of Book 5 to the beginning of Book 8. And really, it looks like a lot because if you're used to Dresden books, it looks like it's 3 Dresden books.
Right.
But it's manga. It goes quick.
Remember, it's a graphic novel, so...
And I read this entire arc last night over the course of like an hour and a half to 2 hours.
Yeah, and I mean, he's a fast reader, but I mean, I could probably do it in double that. Yeah. I like to look at the art a little bit more intricately because Oda Sensei is the bomb. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, and he adds a lot of stuff in the background.
So, for those of you who have... Oh, we haven't done Nami's arc yet. Yeah. Okay, so for those of you who... have enjoyed the action adventure and stuff, get ready for a little bit of a cry for this one. Not as much as the one following it, which will be Nami's arc.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, tears. And I can't. I'm wearing mascara. Well, I'm not. I'm wearing eyeliner. I'll put my mascara on after we're done. But yeah, it's this is not really when, because we've experienced the drama of it before, but this is when we start to realize things that, like, Luffy doesn't care where you've come from. He only cares about where you're going. Yeah. So he only cares that the swordsman he has right now wants to be the best in the world. That's his goal. And Luffy's like, that's all I need. He only cares that his, who's going to be his absolute best friend, i.e. Usopp, who is the son of a dude he already knows, he sees the potential in Usopp. Because Usopp's kind of like Nami. He's not one of the big fighters or whatnot, but he is a marksman. So
which we will see.
We see that
starting
grow.
With this, yeah.
Yeah, we see that grow. We see, he sees Zoro and we'll see Sanji and some of the other characters that come out. They're always, training or honing their skills or doing whatever. So Usopp starts to do that more. He's also the tinkerer. He's going to be our shipwright for the remainder, of this series. He's going to look after the ship. He's going to make sure that it's that it doesn't burn down. So yes. So
this is definitely the beginning of, like, we got a little bit with Usopp's arc.
Because it was
like
sad.
We had a little bit with the Buggy arc, and then we got Usopp's arc, which kind of ramped it up a bit. Sanji's arc ramps it up a bit more, and then we get Nami's arc, which I keep saying that's the one that if you can go from the beginning to Nami's arc, and once you finish Nami's arc, you will either be hooked or you will know for sure that this has nothing for you.
Right. Now, I will say that, and I think I've said it before, my exposure is I was exposed to the anime first. So this is my first time reading through the manga. From the beginning, anyway. Now, because Paul and I are too impatient to wait for the animation to catch up with the manga, we have started reading the manga, although we haven't read it for some time. But, anyway, so it'll be interesting to see. There are differences. I know there are going to be differences, so we'll see what's different between this and the anime.
Yeah. Anyways, we'll talk all about that next time.
Mm-mm.
So, we have an event that we need to scurry off to.
Yes, I've got to finish putting my face on, because it's I don't know if any of y'all can notice, but I'm not used to doing this. These are not, the wings or cat eye, whatever the frig I got going on over here, are not exactly perfect. But whatever, it's gonna be hopefully dark. No one will notice the crappy job I did because I don't ever put eyeliner on. I just don't ever. And of course, I know my lipstick looks terrible. Don't worry, I'll be touching it up. I ate an apple before we had the thing, so that's what happened. Paul just has to put his tux on and his tails and his white sparkle tie and everything, and he'll be ready to roll.
Yeah, it'll be super easy, so I don't know what the problem is.
Well, you gotta put all the little studs in the thing and your cufflinks, and you've got that weird vest.
We need to find the studs and cufflinks in.
They should be in with your tux cufflinks.
They should be.
White tie and black tie are different. As far as what the men are wearing is concerned, women, it's a little bit more flexible because a woman might wear something that's white tie appropriate to a black tie event. No one's really going to bat an eye about it. As long as it's a full length gown, you're good. I've seen people at white tie events and they're wearing cocktail dresses, and this is a bit of my snobbiness coming out right here, but it's like, that's not...
Yeah. Well, I mean, the unfortunate thing is with women, you don't really have a guideline of this is white tie, this is black tie. Like a man, we have a white tie and we have black tie. And the events are named for the ties.
Yes, exactly.
So we know exactly which one to put on.
Which was great because when we went to go rent his tails, it was super easy. Like we went in and they were like, "Oh, you're going to this event," and they're like, "Yeah," and they were like, "All right, let's just suit him up, get his measurements, and get everything to go." It's great. They have a uniform. Mm-hmm. Now, when I went to a private school in, going K through 12, we had uniforms, and it was great. I never had to think about what I was wearing. I just had to wake up and put it on. Now, usually it was, my sister's hand-me-downs, but what are you going to do? But it was so easy. Then I got to college, and I was like, I don't have any clothes. Like, I have jeans and T-shirts, and that's it.
But luckily, that's the uniform of college.
Right. I mean, it was fine for a while, but then I went to fashion school, and then I was like, oh, no, I can't go to school in jeans and a T-shirt. I mean, I was literally studying fashion design. Like, I can't. Like, I'm sorry that you see me in, like, my lounge pants. I really am, but I gotta slink into a dress after this. So, I'm sorry. Anyway, read Dresden. Dresden's awesome. But, for next week, if you're going to keep up with us, read One Piece. Please support the official release, blah, 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 blah. You can find it, I was going to say you can find these at, like, a Barnes & Noble, but if you go to a Barnes & Noble now, they probably have volumes 1 and 2 individually, or they have a couple omnibuses, like, well, not omnibuses, but I've seen them with the altogether, like, 1 through 3, 4 through 6, maybe 7 through 9, but in America, we're currently up to, I think, 84,
something like that.
Yeah, I think the current volume is 84 or 83. So,
of which we only have up through 10.
We have up through 10.
So by the time we get to next episode,
we're gonna have to go do some shopping.
Yes,
because because the arcs will get longer and longer and longer, and eventually we'll get to Skypia, which.
I don't know if we're gonna do Skypia in one go or two. We'll look at.
I don't even think we can. I don't honestly think we can do Alabaster in one.
Well, I'm looking at this. This is really 2 volumes plus a smidge. And it took about an hour and a half to read.
And how long? I mean, how much do you think
and Dresden took me...
cray about it.
In amongst all things. I mean, I think we could, because again, it's manga, it's a quick read.
I'm not talking about the speed in which we can read it. I'm talking about all the stuff we have to talk about.
True.
Because especially for Alabaster... Now, Alabaster might take longer than some, because we've got to deal with... a lot. A lot happens.
That's true. Alabaster has... I wonder if the arcs are... Because we're going by whatever the One Piece wiki says. One Piece arcs. I wonder if it splits Alabaster at all, because a lot happens. Let's see. East Blue... Let's see, what counts as Alabaster? Okay. Yeah, Alabaster, the arc that's named Alabaster Arc is contained in volume 17 through 24.
That's pretty hefty.
So that's 7 volumes. That's less than double this.
It is.
So it's really not that bad.
But like I say, a lot of things happen. For instance, we get a particular character.
Anyway.
I'm just saying, when we get this particular character, it's kind of like a, whoa, what? Moment. Which is great. I mean, it's great.
Oh.
But
Skypiea is only in 6 volumes. By volume, Skypiea is shorter than Alabasta.
maybe the anime drew it out. Or maybe
Possibly.
just so much stuff happens in Alabaster that...
You mean
'cause
Skypiea?
No. A lot happens in Alabaster, which, from my perspective, kind of means like, oh, you can move through it quickly. Everything is interesting. Skypiea kind of drags.
It does a little bit.
So I'm wondering if maybe that's why I find it to be...
I mean, we talk about how the arcs are getting longer. It looks like for the most part, the arcs range from 2 to 7 volumes. So it's not really that bad to get through. And again, I do suggest it because we have plenty to talk about.
I'm sorry, I don't usually wear this. Like, usually when you guys see me, I've got sunscreen on. That's it. So I'm, like, examining myself because like, I've got...
Well, the lighting in here is all weird as well, too. I have that light on. It's making the whole screen kind of bluish. We need to... One of our plans is we're going to VidCon this year, and we're hopefully going to learn how to do a
proper
web
video.
show.
You know, instead of just winging it like we've been doing, like maybe set up like actual lighting so we don't look kind of dead. Because like I look more dead. Paula's already very fair, but I've got...
I always look dead.
But I've got... No. It's just lighting favors you a little bit more.
Oh, does it?
I have like green undertones because my father is Cuban. So it's like I feel like I get a little bit more washed out. Because we don't have proper light, because all the lighting is coming from the sides.
Yeah,
Except
and then
for
we have a
those.
daytime light, and then we have some crappy
These are
lights.
like yellow.
And then we have just a indoor crop light. And
so the goal is to actually learn a thing or two, and maybe look a bit better, make sure our audio is better, learn a little bit about editing, since we haven't really edited any of our videos, even our Let's Plays.
Yeah.
I'd like to learn how to edit down my Let's Plays a little bit, because if you watch my Let's Plays, they're usually about an hour long. But lately, because I've been getting to the end, I've been retreading a lot of steps, because you get close to the end, you need more potions, and like I don't like boring people as I mine for rupees and then go to the potions mistress and get more potions, and then I can go back to the castle, to the dungeon. Like, it's all just... I don't want to make people suffer.
Anyways, we need to scurry off.
Yeah, we need to...
Now we've really pushed it off because we got you talking about One Piece.
We need to be pretty. So
We do need to be pretty.
Let's go.
And that's going to take a lot of work. Ow! Ooh. From me.
Paul forgets that even though we're both martial artists, some of us hit harder than others.
I'm a passive martial artist.
I'm not.
No. Okay. Until next time, thank you for joining us.
Have a good one.